Good morning, this is Martin Dowding. I'm the chair of the Great Yeldham's Men's Shed Group, and recently we've just had our planning permission refused by Christopher Paggi for our containers on the Great Yeldham recreation site, because they would poorly interact with the hard standing section of the wider plot, and when not in use the contrasting and incompatible structure would be incongruent to the surrounds and would create an ununiting quality which may not be conducive to personal safety or for users on the land. And what I wanted to do as I'm walking over to the ground this morning is to put that in some kind of context so that we can have a really good look at why they're turning the planning application down, and why it's for those reasons in particular, and they're the only reasons given, that it's a load of rubbish. They have also stated that there will be no satisfactory way to negotiate a conclusion, which really shuts off the whole attempt at trying to make a men's shed in Great Yeldham. So we start here next to the gravel depot on the site, which is right next to the Great Yeldham Park and Recreation Ground, and you can see we have a set of houses with all planning permission, I expect, has gone through, which overlook the lovely gravel bits. And these houses in no way seem to have been built or designed to match in with the surroundings of the gravel field whatsoever. And the gravel field itself has been lovely, beautifully laid out. Lots of overgrown areas, concrete chunks, bits of debris around, all for the people in the houses as well to have a good look at. But let's take a walk around onto the field. So that's one area of the park, and it's going to be a bit of a splish splashy video because it's very wet here today. And so as we come onto the Great Yeldham area, we can see over in the corner there at the back there we've got our pavilion, our scout hut. You can see the zip wire and the outdoor gym, and of course now we're coming across the two football fields. Now the idea of a men's shed is to provide a space of creativity and peace and safety for men who are suffering from isolation or loneliness, some who have retired, who have lost that sort of banter within the office, some who are recovering from injury or operations and find it difficult to mix. And the idea behind a men's shed is that people, or men in particular, will mix shoulder to shoulder and to talk shoulder to shoulder, doing something creative rather than across the table like women might do. However, the Great Yeldham's Men's Shed is not a men's shed alone. It has always been put together on the idea that we would have a community shed, and that the workshop that we were creating would be for the use of the community. And the beauty of men's sheds is that they're symbiotic to their surroundings. Having a repair shop on site, pretty much, you know, with the skills that we have amongst the retired workforce and amongst the retired people of the village, we could do repair projects for schools, we could support the recreation ground itself, we could do work for the church, we could do work for the parish council, we could help repair things for people if they wanted to do so, or whatever we want the men's shed to do. But I've walked across the field here to the first building on the site, which is the storage unit. And as you can see, the storage unit is a brick construction. It looks like it's got some, I don't know if that's an asbestos roof, I've no idea, but clearly the roof is on its way down. And it is sitting next to some rusty old equipment. We all know this, we all walk past it every day. Danger, unsafe roof. Hardly the best looking building on the planet. I doubt that was designed by any great designer. It certainly doesn't follow any of the Italian or Baroque themes, or doesn't seem to take its theme from anywhere. And it's a pretty ugly piece of architecture. We'll now take a move across the field to the pavilion, which seems to have taken its design features from post-war Eastern Europe under the Stalinist era, why it's particularly bland. And remember, we're looking for stuff that, you know, we've been told that our building is incongruous to the surroundings that we're in. And here we have it's a functional pavilion for sure. It looks very good in terms that it does what it does, but it's not in the greatest state of repair. It's not a particularly beautiful design by any stretch of the imagination, and for security reasons as well. We have this lovely short narrow alleyway around the back. Okay, well that's very interesting, isn't it? Where we'll bear that in mind when we go to look at the security for the men's shed. And here we go. It's some nice dripping water, and here we have the scout hut. Again, I can't get behind it, but there you go. There's a nice security safe area tucked away behind the scout hut, the bramble and the bushes there. Probably hasn't seen a lick of paint for a few years, or creosote I should say, as we go over. I'm just going to move around to go down the steps here so I don't fall over. Excuse me. Okay, so here we are. Here's the scout hut. I think you'll say it's not the Sistine Chapel, it's not the Taj Mahal, is it? But it's functional. It suits the scout people. They work very well. And here we have, oh, that's very interesting. We have a nice burnt area. So when you think about it, we've got a nice story here of the three little pigs. We have the brick building, the wooden shed, and my goodness, looks like the house built of straw was actually burnt down. But again, we can see security wise, not brilliant. Design wise, less than average, but they are a functional part of our surroundings. Then we come on to the pièce de résistance really for the park here. We've got this very welcome outdoor gym area. Some nice rusty old climbing frames. I think they were once cricket nets many years ago, and of course we come back to the zip wire. And then just behind the picnic tables over here, we can see, if I'm not mistaken, this is in the design of a French Renaissance period. A beautiful little hut. As we approach it, and remember, we're on the park, and remember, we're considering the security of it as well. We have a beautiful little shed which serves very little purpose and also has a lovely aroma at this time of day. So we'll move on, okay, as we come back through the picnic area. Again, I stress that we have a picnic area right next to this quite beautiful building, and I'm going to have to just go down the carefully constructed ramp here. Excuse me, there you go. Okay, and we come on to well, it's clearly the second half of the recreation ground, and we go from our lush green football fields onto our, well, this appears to be the hard standing for the floor of the old Whitlock factory. And the Whitlock factory made tractors many years ago. They have, if you ever wanted to see them, there are tractors up in the JCB museum up at Uttoxeter. But they used to be built here, and this is their hard standing. You know, you can see the tracks in the ground for where the doors used to be, and here's the rails where the big metal doors used to close. And we have a very nice basketball court put up for the kids. Again, all on this hard stand, not on the grass, but in this recreation park. And there we have our skate park, built almost invisible to the naked eye because they built it in an aluminium which is clearly not industrial, and clearly doesn't look like an inner city kind of area. It looks fine, it's functional, the kids love it, they use it all the time. Now when we're walking the dogs over here, it's very popular and it's a fun thing. It's disturbing no one at all. It's sitting behind the woods, or woods we say, trees. And then if we look to this side, we have our BMX track, cunningly hidden from view by the overgrown trees and brambles. You can see just in front of me a couple of the humps where the bikes would have gone through, and the trees, and it's all hidden from view because, again, you know, we don't want it to mess with the surroundings. And also there's no security risk at all in there of people walking in and out through the little pathways into the brambles and hedges. So then we turn our attention to what is the carbuncle on the site, and it's the men's shed. And we placed the men's shed up here because for two reasons. One, it was completely out the way of anyone and anything. Let's take a little time to look at that. Let's have a look at the surrounding. There we are. I'm standing by the skate park. We're 50 meters away, maybe. It's half hidden on one side, this side, by the tree falling over, and we know that when that comes into bloom, you know, you won't see it from that side. You can see it from the front, from the path up and from the path that runs along the back by the lines there. Now the other reason we built it over here is because it was close to an electricity power line. But unfortunately, the UK Power Networks wanted £15,000 to connect us. So that was obviously outside the reach of a group like ours. So we went down the route of going to run it on a generator. And that would mean we wouldn't have to pay any standing orders or ongoing costs, and our costs of running the club would be minimal. There'd be petrol, diesel, and timber, and we'd fund a lot of that out of, you know, a £2 a session membership fee. As you can see from the shed, I'll look around it. We've painted it a sympathetic grey to sit in with the background. It's an industrial site. It's sitting on the Whitlock factory, tractor factory ground. And here we are. Yes, containers do look industrial, I'll give you that. Is it incongruous to the surroundings? Is it hell? And look at the work we've done just on the outside of it. We have made every effort to make this, to repair this, these two rusty old containers. You can see from our Facebook page all the work we've done on the outside of the building. We've put up warning signs so that people don't hurt themselves, and because we don't want people falling off the roof or anything like that onto the hard ground beside us. We have done everything we can. Everything's been repaired really beautifully. Lock boxes securely put on, and of course if you looked at the Facebook side you'd have seen what an amazing job that the team have done in creating this workshop. But here it is. Here's the carbuncle, and look what else we've done. Security wise, we've cleared the area. All this was overgrown with brambles, just like over there you can see at the back there. All that was right out to where I'm standing now and in front of the shed, and if you remember, it was close up to where this little embankment was. One of our kind villagers came down with his digger voluntarily and spent the afternoon in the rain clearing this path for us. Why did we do that? Because it was slippery, it was messy, it was horrible, and we wanted to tidy the area up. And also, if one of our members came down and was unable to get close to the shed because he was unable to walk, we have a nice safe area where they could put their car and take a few steps into the shed if they wanted to. So pretty good bit of planning, I think. We also would like to, in terms of aspirations, plant some wildflowers here, some sunflowers, maybe some pampas grass, which would give it some screening and attract bees and things like that. And we got this idea from another shed who have a sensory garden around their shed. All this is completely lost on the Braintree and District Planning movement. We'd be happy to repaint the shed if they really wanted it repainted. We could put up some screening, but the screening would affect the security of the site, and we'd have to dig through the concrete, and that's not the easiest thing to do here. It's quite deep. And then we could clad the shed, but then it would be a fire hazard, and we wouldn't be able to clad the front, and then that would look awful. We couldn't have used a wooden shed because of the fire hazard and security risk, and no one was willing to build us a brick building. So we've done our very best, and although we really should have picked up on the fact that we needed planning permission right at the very beginning, as soon as we found out we did, we applied through the channels, were told to carry on building by Natalie Robertson, and which we did, and we followed all the guidance that was given to us by the planning office all the way through to the end, when they said actually no, we don't like it because it's industrial. And what's more, as we said, there's nothing at all we can do to change that situation. Case closed. So Great Yeldham is going to miss out on a fantastic piece of resource. Not just Great Yeldham, but all the local villages around us. Braintree District Council Planning Office view on men's mental health, or general mental health in general, seems to be yeah, I'll let you make up your own mind on what they think of it. But again, I'll turn around again to show you how our incongruous building stands within the context of the whole site. And there we have over at the back there the skate park again almost invisible to the naked eye, built in that bright aluminium with, I believe, some graffiti done by some local Michelangelos and Raphaels to be. So we take a walk back round to where we came out, and again this is the boundary where we're coming from the old Whitlock site back onto the park in general. So we're not on the interfering with the beauty of this side of the park. We're just fitting in with what was already there over there. And interestingly enough, if people with Great Yeldham will know, if you go a field over that way behind the shed, the farmer over there has a row of 3 or 4 containers and a whole big metal shed to erected. Now, we're very lucky in Great Yeldham. We have our own sports pavilion. We have our own scout hut. We have storage unit over there. We have 2 football fields. We have a beautiful park with, when the trees are out, it's fantastic. We have some health equipment. We have a zip wire, climbing frame, picnic tables. We have a skate park. And you may have noticed that my commentary might have been a little sarcastic. Well, it's absolutely true. You know, we have all this stuff we have is great. You know, and none of it, if we look around again, really fits in with the scenery, does it? You know, none of it fits in. It's such a subjective matter. And there we are. There's our site from the park. You can see our industrial units there standing out like a sore thumb, and you know, really being a hideous blot on the landscape. All we want is to have our men's shed. That's all we would like to do. We would like to build, have a 3rd container over there as well, because the 3rd container will allow us to put the generator inside and out of the way, and it'll make it even less quiet to the outside. And that was refused as well. It's no surprise. But that would be a perfect spot for a men's shed for the community to enjoy, and wouldn't bother anyone. So we're raising a campaign. We're going to start to petition different people. There'll be an online petition. Hopefully people will come along and support us, and let's get this project finished. So the final message is save our shed.